Welcome to Gold Digging, episode 5. It's my weekly show where I hope to unearth some golden nuggets from LinkedIn's leading marketing experts. This week we've got a cracker. I've got Gareth Turner, who is ex-market director for Weetabix, where he oversaw the long-term brand strategy for clearly the nation's favourite cereal. 25 years of experience, stellar brands such as Lurpak, John Smith, Bulmers, local, global levels. It's amazing. But I think Gareth's now undertaking probably the most exciting part of the journey. He's set up Big Black Door, which is a marketing consultancy which offers simple, practical, but yet highly strategic marketing advice to businesses who want to supercharge their growth. So welcome, Gareth. What has got your goat?
Thank you. It sounds good when someone introduces you. I get a bit, that's a bit awkward, isn't it? What's got my goat is overcomplicated marketing. And there are a few things that sort of sit behind that. I think we perhaps, who knows, we might discuss those, Brett, who knows. But I think there's too many snake oil salesmen peddling the latest thing and to the unwary, unsuspecting brand owner. And I'm working with scale-ups at the moment. So especially those guys, the founders who are great entrepreneurs, but perhaps don't have the great marketing experience, don't have years of experience. It's those guys get sold at and get sold the latest thing, the latest trend, and next thing you know, their marketing is overcomplicated and not effective. So that gets my goat.
My assumption, I see it a lot with startups, is they do this weird scattergun approach where suddenly they see something new and they just keep investing marketing in these little small tactical pieces that never really build into a greater pyramid, right?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that that generally happen. That's exactly one of them. You're absolutely right. There's this latest thing. Oh, you need to be on TikTok. Do I? Why? Why is that? And I've got a story about this, about a similar thing I did in my past. I'm not clean, right? I've learned the hard way. I've learned on other people's money, so that's why I think I can help some people. So I think there's that scattergun approach, and then you've got the number of channels. Are those channels right? Are you integrated across those channels? That's a very important thing to think about. There's also then the things you talk about. So what messages are you saying? It feels logical to layer on more and more messages. Oh, we want to talk about the taste of oh yeah, but we're healthy as well. Yeah, we've got low salt. Yeah, low sugar. Okay, yeah, it's got plenty of vitamin C. All these things. You layer on those things, and next thing you know, no one's remembering anything about what you are. So simplicity is one of my sort of mantras at Big Black Door. Simplicity, and just being choiceful and deliberate with the messages you put out there, and there are ways of finding that out, that we can help with. But there's being choiceful with the things you say, and integrated and choiceful where you say them. That's the key to success for simple comms. And I appreciate that marketing is more than just comms, but for comms especially, that's how you get simplicity.
And two questions. One is for particularly for a startup, I always try to say to them, look, it's not about being truly unique in the marketplace. It's about shrinking your competitive set, right? And talking about the things that might make a difference. Is that what you would tend to focus on at that level?
Yeah, I think so. If you let's take lager, for example. Lager is lager when I was involved in beer, right? So I was at Heineken for a long time. And back in the day, the thing you had to talk about was refreshment. That's the category entry point. If you're going to start quoting, if I'm going to start quoting Ehrenberg Bass at you, the category entry point for lager is refreshment. That's so people think, oh, I want a refreshing drink, and they're thinking lager, and they're in the pub or in the supermarket, they're choosing their brand. So back in the day, almost every lager brand talked about refreshment in some way, but they did it in a way that's distinctive to them. So that, for me, in a nutshell, is the difference between being differentiated. They're not differentiated. They're all yellow fizzy lager, yellow fizzy liquid, peddling refreshment. But Coors Light will do it with some bloke in Speedo swimming through an ice field, going to an ice cave. Foster's used to do it by talking about Australia and having beautiful shots of pints in this arid desert that look so refreshing, and people are like salivating over these pints. So everyone talks about refreshment back in the day, but everyone did it in their own way. So that's important. That was the key message for them. They have to get across how refreshing this product is. That's sort of base camp.
And CEPs are still vitally important for startups, right?
Yeah, well, because you have to be in the game, right? So if you're a breakfast cereal, or most foods, actually, you've got to talk about how tasty you are. It's pretty simple, but you do that in a way that is ownable to yourself, in a way that is your tone of voice. It's your creative assets, your distinctive brand assets. So you find a way to talk about it in your way. That's the key.
And obviously, you're talking about sort of unjoined up comms, and as a startup, for example, or a scale up is probably better because it means they've got some traction. But long-term brand growth versus short-term tactical execution, should they be born from the same idea? Because the problem I see in these big organizations, and you might be able to tell us a bit about that, is all of for me, I take tactical a lot more seriously than I take long-term brand growth, because it's point of purchase, it converts to sales. It's generally left to the most junior. It's almost like a path to growth. You have to do, the least senior you are, the more tactical work you do. And then the senior people just think about the highbrow stuff. But is that kind of the right notion? Is that the right way?
Yeah, I suppose that I can see that. I can see why people say that. I don't think that's how I've organised the teams that I've worked in. I was telling you offline, so I'll create a page. I'm gonna reference like loads of documents and things. I'll create a page on my website where if anyone's listening to this, Brett, if anyone listening to my shit, I mean millions, Brett. If there is millions and people are interested in some of the charts I'm referencing, I'll do bigblackdoor.com/gold. I'll even put a little video of Gold Digger on there.
Love it.
And people can find the stuff there. So back to your point, it has to be integrated. It has to be integrated. So if you think about point of sale in store, or a Facebook ad, or digital point of sale, so on Tesco.com or something, in a retailer's website, you can buy virtual POS, right? You can through people like Criteo or dunnhumby or I think Citrus now. I'm not sure all the different names of them anymore. You can buy sponsored search, which is your digital point of sale. It all has to be integrated. But for me, the holy grail is it's integrated at a couple of levels. Integrated at strategically. It's integrated at a creative idea level. And Specsavers do this brilliantly. Specsavers, every ad is all about a mistake that's made when you can't see things properly or hear things properly. They did a brilliant ad on a hearing aid when they were doing hearing aids, but it's still got the same creative idea.
Yeah.
And then you can also integrate visually, like have matching luggage, like a Premier League footballer going on holiday with your matching Louis Vuittons. Yeah. That you can do that, or you can do either or both. So for me, the holy grail is you do both. That's very hard to do, and the reason you do both is because you're integrating strategically, but you're also you've got your DBAs, you've got your distinctive brand assets. For Weetabix, your yellow, your blue. It's a have you had your Weetabix, or have you had yours actually? End line. All these little things you do them consistently, ruthlessly consistent. There's when you do that, you build recognition. You make your brand easy to think of, easy to find, and easy to buy. That's as simple as it. That's as complicated as it needs to get when you're thinking about selling your stuff in FMCG.
So can we just agree, just to get rid of the elephant in the room, right? Weetabix on beans on Weetabix was tactical, right? Not a campaign.
Yeah. That's one execution. So we had. So back to your. I'll try and dig the chart out, but everyone knows the Field and Binet. Long and short of it, IPA paper. You've got the sort of the long-term brand building and the short-term sales spikes. Weetabix have an equity building strand, and they have a recipe inspiration strand, a strand of advertising, of comms. Now, for me, they could, in a perfect world, they could have been better integrated. And I was working slowly to make that. You can't do these things overnight. You slowly integrate those things, and getting people to use your product as often as they can, so it gets out of the cupboard into a bowl and down people's throats, so they go and buy some more. That's the idea of it. And so that Beans on Bix thing came from some stuff we did a few years ago, where we found that some of the quirkier, let's call it, stranger recipes were getting a lot of traction. We did one with a Weetabix coated chicken breast, like a KFC style, but oven baked. It was much healthier, and that got on. It was like on the Sun published it because they said, "Well, this is crazy." So we went, "Oh, hang on, there's something in this." So we then had a series of these, which and that the beans one got it went a bit mad, but it was. I do it. I'm gonna need to retire this talk because it's a long time ago now. But I do a talk. I've done a few talks about this. The moment where strategy met bravery, and that's when you get some magic in that intersection, when you're pulling in the same direction. So that execution, there's only one execution. That execution was pulling in the right direction. And if it had been off brand and pulling in the wrong direction, you only got 1.3 billion people seeing that. Well, that would be a pain in the neck, wouldn't it? If you're pulling in the wrong direction, you have to be pulling in the same direction.
I'll take it right back to what you started about when you sort of said, comms is all over the place, right? And you're advising scale up brands. Is that the magic piece that you're selling here, to sort of say, actually, if you are a scale up, you need to have very robust, clear strategy, but maybe you need to be slightly braver than those that are already established? Is that the point of strategy and bravery to amplify scale up brands?
Yeah, I mean, could do. You've got to have cut through, I think, and there are a number of ways of doing that. You can do that by being like a Paddy Power and being right out there. Paddy Power know their audience very well. It doesn't appeal to me. I find some of their stuff quite offensive, but I'm guessing it works for them, right? Otherwise, they'll stop doing it. Yeah. So you got to know yours. And so I would take a step back and say the logic flow here is, what's your market? What are you trying to do? What are your what's your business about? Who are your competitors? Where are you operating? What's the layout here? Then you're into, okay, so how do we win? Then you're into strategy, and then you're into execution. So your strategy could be about how you're going to win, who you're going after, who you're not going after, blah blah blah, and then your execution, your tactics are, well, how do we talk to those people? How do I unlock those people? Where are they shopping? Which retailers do I need to be in? Which social media channels do I need to be in? So
social media, I see all these brands jumping straight onto TikTok or doing these weird, wonderful. That's not the start point, right?
No, that's TikTok could be the answer. It could be the answer, but I'd like to know the question first. And so I'll give you an example from my past. It's not TikTok. This is how old I am. So in the early days of iPhones, that far back, there was a thing. Do you remember the thing called the iPint? Carling did this thing, and you held your phone like this, and look, it looks like I'm drinking a pint. Now I was at Heineken then, and everyone was getting a bit, look all this great stuff they're doing here. And we then created, I was on John Smith's, and we created an app, John Smith's darts game. It was a brilliant game. You'd get your phone and you sort of like, you'd throw it like a dart, and you see the arrows, the darts going into the board. It was a great game. Our target audience was 60 plus men, 60 plus year old men who, rewind to when iPhones were new, they weren't early adopters. Right. So we had a great thing. We knew our audience loved darts, but we put, I may mix my metaphors here, we put the cart before the horse on that. It was all good, but that's not where our guys were hanging out. Our guys were hanging out in the working men's clubs in Yorkshire, not in a Shoreditch advertising agency trying to build their creds.
So I am conscious that this is, I say it every week, it's supposed to be bite-sized content. I could actually sit here for hours actually talking to you, but you said, look, you're going to put some wonderful resources on your website. Remind me the web address.
So it's bigblackdoor.com, and I'm going to /gold.
Appreciate it. Obviously Gold and Goldhawk as a surname. It's epic. You can't go wrong. And then you just give us sort of one little piece of advice before we go, because I'm conscious that we've been running for about 15 minutes. But going back to what got your goats, where should scale up start?
Start with the audience. Just understand your audience, understand where they're hanging out, what they're looking for in products, and then we can take it from there. You can sort your comms out, you can get your messaging right, you can get your media right, you can get your product right, your place right. All the P's of marketing all start with understanding your target audience.
I love that. It's been a wonderful chat. Really appreciate it. Have a lovely day, and thank you very much for being on the latest episode. I appreciate it.
Thank you.